Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Manik IAS. We'll discuss science and technology and topic is Pegasus. Right. Why Pegasus was in news? Because there was allegation that it's a software and government is spying on opposition leaders and some cabinet ministers and some journalists or activists. And now we'll discuss comprehensively the different aspects of Pegasus software. Why this software is useful and why the sovereign governments are purchasing this Pegasus software from a Israel NSO group, that is the NSO group of Israel. They purchased this Pegasus software. Okay. Why such type of software is in need at present times? This is because we will discuss both the positive aspects and both the negative aspects comprehensively. First thing is, why sovereign governments they purchase this Pegasus software worldwide? Because as present time now we see a trend of transnational terrorism. Transnational terrorism means terrorism has now globalized, right? Many terrorist organizations has developed their interconnections with different regions. They have opened their various branches like multinational companies. Now that is called as transnational terrorism. Right? Terrorism is not limited to a particular state or a particular country. It has opening its branches in different countries to especially Islamic terrorism or IAS. It is spreading in the whole area of Middle East and it is increasing. Its effects are on both on developing countries and also on developed countries. Right? In such a scenario, why Pegasus software is becoming important? This is because it is seen from many developed countries and developing countries, many persons, they have also inclination slightly towards the ideology of Wahhabism ideology or the ideology of Islamic terrorism. From developed countries also many youths have joined them, right? So there is another concept with respect to that. If there anything that exists in the country, if there is anything non-state actor exists in the country which is harmful for the citizens, then it is said that, or it is established thing that someone in the power is supporting them, right? Someone in the power is supporting them. It means it may be from bureaucracy or maybe from the politicians or maybe any activist or many influential persons. They have certain support to those sections of the society which are basically the non-state actors, and they conduct their terrorism activity in a particular country, right? So as there are certain, if for example, if there exists a drugs deal, if there exists a drugs business in a particular state, it means certain sections of bureaucracy or certain section of politicians or powerful people, they have hand in that. So the state is indirectly supporting, some part of the state is indirectly supporting those non-state actors. It is a common established theory everywhere. For example, in case of Naxalism, in case of India, many times it is alleged that certain section of activists are the ideological torchbearer of Naxalism, right? They provide the ideological structure to the Naxalism and some implement in the ground, right? This is the allegation of some against some left-aligned activists. So now it is also seen that in case of India, Naxalism has also transnationalized. It has developed its connections with other countries of the world, other terrorist organizations of the world, because when they get united, the non-state actors, they get united, they engage in arms deal, they engage in drug deals or such type of traffickings, right? So in such a situation, somebody is somebody in the government is providing support to those people, and it is very difficult to track them. At present time, the utilization of technologies by the modern technology by this terrorist organization has made the work of intelligence bureau is extremely difficult, because anytime there may be a chances of terrorist attacks, right? We have seen multiple terrorist attacks both in developed countries and developed countries. That is why it has become essential to track the mobiles or track the devices they are using. So whenever the state they want to see they doubt the activities of a particular person, it is very difficult to track them or put evidences against those people that they have conducted certain time or framed certain ways in which the terrorist acts are conducted, right? So that is why many sovereign countries, many countries are purchasing this NSO software. Then what is this NSO software? By this software you can spy on a particular person's mobile, right? That particular person will not know anything that a Pegasus, that is a software, is installed in his mobile, or you are spying on his mobile. He will not know anything when it comes to a mobile, and when it goes to go away from a mobile or taken away from a mobile, you will have absolutely no idea. That's why it is of very high cost, and NSO group says that it only sell it to sovereign governments. Only government should have the power to purchase it, right? So if somebody's mobile is tracked in India, obviously the allegation goes to the government, that government is spying on that particular person. So similar allegation came up against government of India, but government of India gave clarification that it respects the right to privacy because that is a fundamental right according to K. Puttaswamy case of Supreme Court. And that is why government respects the privacy of these citizens and other eminent people. That's why it is not engaged in any such activities of spying the union ministers or activists or opposition leaders, right? Now why, this is the reason why to control these terrorist activities, right? To find out who are in power, those who are supporting these non-state actors or the terrorist actors, to find out that NSO company has built that software. It is a very high cost, approximately for one installation it will take around 8 crore, right? So that's why they have a principle also to sell only the sovereign governments, so that the government can use to protect the life of its citizens, right? And to find out who is in the power is supporting this terrorists. Now what is the negative sides of this NSO software? That is the basic principles of NSO software, or basic principle of Pegasus software, right? It is a spyware. There are different types of viruses in mobile. After some time we'll discuss what are the different types of viruses. For example, spyware, malware, worm, what are all these types we'll discuss. So this is one type of spyware. What is this spyware? Spyware means it will spy your mobile. It will not destruct your data. It can destruct your data, but it will not. Primarily its job is not to destruct your data. Primarily its job is to track you, right? Suppose you are a journalist. So what are the mails you are sending? What are the phone calls you are making? What is the recordings of your phone call, right? Now what is your location? What are the files that are in your mobile? Whatever you can do with your mobile, another person can do the same thing with your mobile. Even if you are sitting in a particular room and you have that mobile, the another person who is spying on you can also open your camera and record all the things. That level of facility, that level of features are there in the Pegasus software. Now why it is against the law? Why it is something that is highly wrong for the government to do so? First thing is, privacy is a fundamental right, right? Every citizen is mandatory fundamental right. That means certain space where states cannot interfere. Fundamental right means those aspects of individual, those rights of individual which cannot be interfered by the state. The state means the government, right? State cannot interfere in those matters. That is the fundamental right. And in the K. Puttaswamy case of the Supreme Court says that under Article 21, that is protection of life and personal liberty, privacy is a fundamental right which cannot be violated. Now the sovereign government, if they are tracking the mobiles of certain sections of citizens, or when they track the mobiles of opposition leader, when they track the mobiles of cabinet ministers, or the track the mobiles of constitutional authorities, then that is violative of the, that is a monumental wrong can by the government, right? Because if those people who are the cabinet ministers, who are at the who are constitutional authority, if their privacy is not safe, then nobody's privacy is safe in this country. So this is the allegation led by the opposition to the government, right? So if that is used, then obviously it is the government who has used that, because Israeli company says that they only sell to the sovereign governments, not to any private individuals or companies. Okay, so it is a spyware created by NSO group and Israeli cyber security firm. Right? The intention is good, but that can be misused, right? The intention is to curb terrorism, to curb transnational terrorism, and to save the life of people, right? But that can be also misused, like misutilized for political purposes. That is what makes it a wrong, a monumental wrong, we can say. Okay, it is created by NSO group and Israeli cyber security firm. Pegasus spyware can hack any iOS or Android device. iOS means Apple and Android device. Apple has been claiming that it is the most secure phone, but it can hack any iOS device, right? There is no iOS device or Apple phone which cannot be hacked by Pegasus. So it can hack any iOS or Android device and steal variety of data from infected device. They can steal variety of data, all data available in your mobile can be taken by the person who is deploying Pegasus software in your mobile. It works by sending an exploit link. If the target user clicks on the link, the malware of the code that allows the surveillance is installed and user's phone, right? On the user's phone. It's sending an exploit link, right? They will send a link, and if you click on that, they will send a link. Then the malware on the code that allows the surveillance, that will be installed in your phone, right? First they will send a link. That's why it is again and again advised by the government of India and many people who are creating cyber awareness that do not click on unknown links and do not go through unknown websites. Do not purchase anything from unknown websites. Do not download only anything from unauthorized websites, right? Or do not download anything from your any software other than your Play Store, right? You should see whether it is a authorized application or not. Otherwise, they will take your data and that data will be misused. For example, government of India has almost banned around 53 applications. They have banned. Why they have banned? Because there is allegation that they are taking the data and there is data mining is happening, and that is data piracy, or they are selling those data, right? Your data can be sold to other person. That's why nobody should click on unknown websites or unknown links. Otherwise, these malwares can get installed in your phone. Pegasus can be deleted remotely. It is hard to detect defects once it's hard to detect once it deleted. Leaves few traces, right? Leaves very few traces. It will be very difficult to detect whether Pegasus is installed in a mobile or not by ever, or whether it was installed or not. It will be very difficult to detect. That is why nobody can be sure whether there is installed whether there is Pegasus installed or not. Another thing is that when it gets installed in a mobile and when it gets away from your mobile, nobody knows, right? When it got uninstalled from your mobile, you will not know about anything about that. You will be completely ignorant regarding the function of the application inside your mobile. It can also be used to plant messages, emails, and why there are theories. It may have been used to take widen to implicate activists, right? It may used to take widen to implicate the activists. Used to plant messages, emails, why there are theories that may have been used. What does it mean? It means that if government wants to make somebody punished, suppose in your mobile government want you to be punished, then he can send a message from your mobile to another person saying that we will bomb this area, we will conduct this terrorist act on this day, or something like that. They can write messages from your mobile although without touching your mobile, right? So they can send emails as well. That means that can create also evidences. Though whatever the mobile evidences, they are shown to the court. Based on that, they are punished that these messages have been sent by the person, right? Although you have no idea, they can also send a message from your person to another person who is a criminal. So now, if government want, they can make somebody arrested because of it, right? Also, they can plant evidences, they can plant messages, they can send emails from a mobile, right? So they can. That is why there are theories, right, that used to take wide and implicate activists. So if you want to arrest a particular activist, suppose he is causing various political harm to your interest, political interest, they can. You can also plant such a message from your mobile which is derogated to the particular person, or which will harm the reputation of the particular person, or the public will have a information that thus that person is also engaged in certain illegal activities. In such a situation, government, they can do that, right? That is why whether the activists who are arrested, who they are actually, there is genuine evidences or not, that also come into question. Now Pegasus is designed for three main activities. What is the three main activities? Collection of historic data on a device without user's knowledge. Historic data without user's knowledge. Because one more thing also, if a particular person who is in power also using his mobile or information or the device for illegal purposes, he also deletes the data after conducting that event. But now by Pegasus software, we can retrieve those data even if that is deleted, right, those information. So you can also get evidences against any such act of terrorism or illegal act, or any such act supporting the rule of non-state actors. Next, continuous monitoring activities and gathering personal information. Many times it is seen that, for example, G.N. Sai Baba is a professor of Delhi University who is sentenced to many years of jail term because of its support to Naxalism and such type of activities. He is activist, right? So many times these social activists are also engaged in such non-state actors, and they are conducting various law and order problems for the state, or threatening the security of the state. So in such type of people, who are claimed to be, who are the intellectual, who belongs to the intellectual society, also engaged in such type of activities. That's why they need continuous monitoring their activities and gathering personal information. What they are doing, what they are going to do, what is their plan, right? They can be tracked also by NSO group, that is done by Pegasus software. This is one of the function of Pegasus software. And transmission of data to third parties, right? You can send the data to third parties. If you want to share the data to third parties, that can be also done by the Pegasus software. And what are the implications? Implications is national security implications, right? National security implications. Next, the issues are also indicated as surveillance rules in India. Surveillance rules in India and rules in India are notes for global standards and hinders India's ability to enter data sharing agreement, right? There are also certain type of rule. If government wants to hack the number of a particular phone number of a particular person, then there is a definite rules. Then they can go to the Home Secretary. The Home Secretary will himself give the permission, not anybody subordinate to him. Home Secretary, Union Home Secretary has the authorization to give the permission to track the phone of a particular person if there is something, if there is some suspicion against that particular person, and that too also very limited period, hardly 1 to 3 months. If they again want to go, then that permission can be renewed, right? So as there is some surveillance rules, so we should not circumnavigate those rules of law, right? The surveillance rules in India should be as per global standards. That is, our global standard we have to maintain, because we have also entered data sharing agreements. India's ability to enter data sharing agreement on what situation a person's phone can be tracked, that are according to the data sharing agreement signed by India. Another thing is national security implications. Right. It highlights the weakness of India's cyber warfare capacity. Next thing is weakness of India's cyber warfare capacity. What do you mean by weakness of India's cyber warfare capacity? That means at present time we do not have sufficient technology to hack the mobile phone of another person when he conducts any illegal activities, or there is suspicion that he or she is engaged in some illegal activities. So it highlights the weakness of India's cyber warfare capacity, and that's why you are deploying the NSO software, the Pegasus software from NSO. Then if our cyber security capacity is weak, then what is our national security implications? It may have several implications. That means then the future terrorist attacks are nearer, and we are not completely safe because we do not have that much of advanced technologies to counter all such type of threats or such type of information if a particular person is engaged in certain illegal activities. Next, what is INS Vikramaditya? It was in news. INS Vikramaditya is country's most powerful aircraft carrier. Most powerful aircraft carrier built in 1947 and served the Soviet Navy USSR. Right? Indian Navy purchased it in 2004 and commissioned in 2013. We purchased it in 2004 and commissioned in 2013. Why we purchased this INS Vikramaditya? The first thing is that we have to develop our security system. Right? The position of India is not because of the importance of India in the world politics is predominantly that is based on the strategic locations of the state of India, that is over the Indian Ocean. Right? India can achieve the status of net security provider. India aims to be the net security provider in Indian Ocean. Net security provider means to the vessels, right? Provider to the ships and vessels, and to facilitate the world trade in Indian Ocean. That is one type of leadership, right? And there is more than around 75% of cargo of world that are passing through Indian Ocean. So India can play a significant role in that area and provide security to those vessels of United Nations of another countries, and the relationship between India and all these countries will be stronger because they will dependent on India for the security of their ships. Right? For example, few months ago, what Iran has did? Iran has blasted a oil tanker of USA because it was passing through the Iran, right? Similarly, so that means who will provide security to those oil tankers? Who will provide security to those trades or goods or cargoes? So that is the role of net security provider. As our position is strategic, if all the countries think India is important, if USA think India is important, it is because of the presence of Indian Ocean and in presence of India over Indian Ocean, right? That's why we have to do that. Another aspect of this is that now the world is focusing on India and Indo-Pacific area. Indo-Pacific area is a strategic location. It is the most important location of world politics at present, Indo-Pacific area. And the allegiance of India and USA, both are natural partners because USA is the oldest democracy and India is the largest democracy, right? And both countries they are also democracies. They have shared value of humanity. There is high people to be able to contact. And if India and USA are getting aligned to each other, or their friendship is increasing beyond strategic partners, then the reason is that India's presence in the Pacific, and USA thinks that India will provide safe travels of the cargoes in international water, and India will uphold the international laws in the Indian Ocean. Because we see there is aggressiveness of China over both Indo-Pacific and also in Indian nation, right? Because we have seen that China didn't obey the verdict of international arbitration on South China Sea, on Paracel and Spratly Islands. Right, and China is also violating international law in the disputed territory between India and Pakistan. That's why the USA considers India is the ideal swing state against China. Right. That's why it is USA has established quadrilateral group in the Indo-Pacific region with India, Australia, Japan and US. There is also Malawi exercise. There is also other maritime exercises. There is USA has also started I2U2 recently. Right. That is Israel I2U2. That is Israel, India and USA. Israel, India and USA, UAE. Right, that is West Quad. So relationship between India and the Israel, it is increasing, and many other world countries, our India is going to play a prominent role because of high English population and primarily because of its developed service sector. Right, we have to develop our relationship with the various countries. In international relation, if a particular country is dependent on you, then only it will respect your requirements, otherwise it will not respect your requirements. So you have to increase the interdependency of other countries upon India, and for that we have to play a lead role in the Indian Ocean region, providing net security to the cargo vessels. Right, that is why USA also consider India as the ideal swing state against China, and China is aggressively increasing its maritime capacity in Indian Ocean, because it has already increased. It is because it has also ambition to make other countries forcefully to keep good relations with China, because it has huge presence in the Indian Ocean. That is why India has purchasing these aircraft carriers. That is why India has created various submarines like INS Vela, INS Karanj, INS Kandari, INS Bhagir, INS Bhaksir, that is Project 75 and Project 75I to create various submarines. So this INS Vikramaditya, it will provide it is an aircraft carrier in the Indian Navy. It will strengthen our Navy, Indian Navy in Indian Ocean. Another reason is that we are also, as we have around 7,500 kilometers of coastal length, right, borderline area. In such a coastal line, in such a case, we are also vulnerable to maritime attacks. We are also vulnerable to maritime security, because our Mumbai attack has also happened because of the maritime route, right? There is intelligence failure in certain types of intelligence failure from the maritime route, and they enter to Mumbai via the ocean, right? That's why we have to strengthen not only our army, but also we have the navy capacities, and we have to strengthen our maritime security, right? We have to strengthen our maritime security because we have a 7,500 kilometer of coastline, right? We have to strengthen our maritime security, and for that we have to strengthen our aircraft carrier. That's why we purchased INS Vikramaditya, right? It get commissioned in 2013. It can carry over 30 aircraft comprising of MiG-29K, Kamov helicopter and ALS Dhruv helicopter and Chetak helicopters, right? It can carry around 30 aircraft. So it has strengthened our maritime capacity. Anytime there can be war between India and China, because China is an authoritarian regime, right? It has dictatorship. There is no democracy in China, and its influence is growing in the Indian Ocean region and other region of the world, right? It has also developing maritime Silk Road. In such a situation, and it do not care the international laws, so what plays role in international politics is realism. Realism means it lies with power. We also experience this from the Ukraine and Russia war, that only power matters, right? Today, Ukraine nuclear weapon, Russia would not have been dare to intervene in Ukraine. But as it do not have the power, that's why it is now suffering. Also, another thing is that if you don't have your own power, we cannot rely only on collective security. We cannot rely only on collective security, because it is the evidence we have got from Ukraine Russia war. Although there is full support of NATO, overall support of NATO regarding the Ukraine, nobody came to forefront to take the risk against Russia, because Russia has a huge it has huge natural resources, it's a huge power, it is a nuclear power, it can do anything in the world. That is why nobody intervened in that issue. So we can only depend on collective security. Collective security means when 5 member countries or 10 member countries, they came together and with a particular idea that if one member is getting attacked, then all the members got attacked because of it. And everybody will fight. But in case of Ukraine, nobody fought for Ukraine, only for Ukraine is fighting against Russia. So in such a situation, we cannot depend fully on collective security. Collective security is sustainable, it is good, but practically we cannot depend on completely on collective security. As long we will develop collective security for future of the region, but still we have to rely on our own power. If you rely on your own power, you have to rely on various aspects, in strengthening your border, in strengthening your maritime security, in strengthening your army, in strengthening your aircraft, right? So to strengthen your army, the role of INS Vikramaditya is crucial. It can carry over 30 aircraft comprising of, right, we have already discussed that. Next, it was retrofitted with Barak missile system and under joint development with Israel. Barak missile system. This Barak missile system is a surface to air missile that is developed between India and Israel, right? It's surface to air supersonic missile that is developed by India and Israel, right? It is also retrofitted with Barak missiles, right? So missiles can be launched from the ocean surface. Adding to old Barak missiles range of 150 km. It is based at its home port, Karwar port of Karnataka. Speed is approximately 30 knots or 55 km. Right. Speed of the submarine INS Vikramaditya, it is 55 km. INS, so this is Vikramaditya has 55. Vikrant also has 55 km, around 30 knots. Knots is the navigation speed. Then what is INS Vikrant? INS Vikrant is the first indigenous aircraft carrier. Remember, first indigenous aircraft carrier means that is made in India. See, no aircraft carriers is completely indigenous, but when it is more than 70% of equipments are made in indigenous, then we can call them an indigenous, or that is built in India under Atmanirbhar Bharat, or it is primarily made on Make in India, right? It will have an air component of 30 aircraft. Air component of 30 aircraft, it can contain 30 aircraft, right? Speed is approximately 30 knots, similar to INS Vikramaditya. It contains weapons like Barak's radar and AK-630. AK-630, these are the weapons that contained in INS Vikrant. It has a pair of runways, so it is very so that aircrafts can land easily on the surface. Then what is the significance of INS Vikrant? To combat capability, if there is any war in maritime war, yes. So now if you want to, yes, I was talking about developing capacity. So if you want to develop your security system, if you want to develop your capacity, right, you have to develop your capacity because you are a population of 1.4 billion. You cannot depend on another country. We cannot remain dependent on China, that whenever, dependent on USA, that whenever China attacks, we will take the help of USA. We have to also develop our capacity so that we can defend ourselves rather than waiting for another country to defend us. Because the world, the interdependence between various countries is so complex, right? USA and trade, they have a high trade linkages between USA and China, right? So sacrificing that economic interest, if USA will come India against China, how much it will support, nobody knows, right? What will exactly it will support, nobody knows. So we have to take care of ourselves because the world is highly interdependent at present time, and nobody would like to miss their economic opportunities. These two countries, India and USA, they are highly interrelated so far as trade is concerned. They have huge trade interest between both the countries. So in such a situation, we have to develop our own capacity so that in wrong times, if any times they violate our sovereignty or try to violate our sovereignty, we should have the power to defend ourselves. Next. So this combat capability, reach and versatility of aircraft carrier will add formidable capabilities in the defense in the country. Hence, it will help securing India's interest in the maritime domain. It will secure India's interest in the maritime domain with the having the objective to become the net security provider in the Indian Ocean. Right? It will offer anti-surface submarine offensive and defense, counter anti-surface submarine. Right? Anti-surface warfare. That means if they are trying to make some towards the continent. Offensive and defense. Offensive means you will take the posture forward from your side rather than waiting for the another after, rather than doing that after the attack by the other person. So it has the power of offensive. It can lead the war from front even if the enemy have not started their position. Defense, counter airborne anti-submarine warfare. That means if there is warfare airborne but anti-submarine, right? That can be also countered by INS Vikrant. And airborne early warning system. Early warning system means if there is any such threat is emerging, right? That is also be won by INS Vikrant. Okay, what is ballistic missile? At present time, ballistic missiles are huge use, right? It is used by the Hamas of Palestine. It is widely developed by the developed countries like Russia, USA. Everybody is dependent on ballistic missile. Why they are dependent on ballistic missile? Because ballistic missile is of high range. Its range is very high. Recently, for example, Russia has developed the ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missile, that is Sarmat 28. Russia has developed Sarmat 28. Just see its range. Its range is 11 kilometer to 18 kilometer. 11,000 kilometer to 18,000 kilometer. Right? It is intercontinental ballistic missile. Right? That means it has a very long range. Cruise missile have very limited range. That is very limited range, but this ballistic missile it can have a very long range. So they can attack another continent also by ballistic missile. So this is Russia developed this Sarmat 28, right? So why ballistic missiles are important in modern times? After nuclear weapon, we are not going for nuclear weapon. Why you are not going for nuclear weapon? Nuclear weapon is called as weapon of peace. Why it is called as weapon of peace? It is weapon of peace because of nuclear weapon there is no third world war. Right? Because of nuclear weapon, USA and Russia, they are not fighting with each other, because everybody knows that other persons have very huge amount of nuclear capacity. That will devastate both the countries. USA and China both are not going to war between the both countries. Right? That is why nobody is opting for nuclear war, because everybody knows that there will be mad or mutually assured destruction. Definitely there will be huge destruction. Definitely there will be huge loss of life and money and property and economic loss by both the countries. That's why nobody is going for nuclear war. But still there is a probability of war. There is probability of conventional war. Right? India has a nuclear doctrine that unless and until an external force or external country has applied nuclear weapon against us, we will not apply nuclear weapon. That means we will use nuclear weapon only for defensive measures, not for offensive measures, not for offensive attacks. So if we will attack in a conventional war, in case of conventional war, what is the most important missile? That is this ballistic missile. The most important weapons in case of conventional war is ballistic missile. Right? Now what is this ballistic missiles? Yes. What are the features of ballistic missile? It only propels for a brief duration after the launch. Launch means the path of ballistic missile will be like this. Only for a brief duration. Right? It is launched. So it will go like this and fall on the. It is presented generally by 45%. Because when the angle is 45 degree angle, it goes maximum horizontal range. When degree angle of in this angle of projection is 45 degree, angle of projectile is 45 degree, then the projectile goes maximum horizontal range. So if you want to throw your ballistic missile, so it need to be thrown at the angle of 45 degree, so that it will go maximum horizontal range, and it only propels brief duration, not whole path. In case of cruise missile, what happens? The whole path is guided. The whole path is guided like a drone, right? So that it will hit the exact target. But in case of ballistic missile, it do not hit the exact target. It hit the approximate targets. So that is the features of ballistic missile. That wise, it is not controlled throughout its motion. It is controlled or only propels for a brief duration. It only controls the motion for a brief duration. After that, it relieves the ballistic missile and it goes and it hit the target, right? It is similar to rocket engine. Low precision, yes, it has low precision, not high precision. Low precision means how exactly it reaches the target. It reaches approximate target, so it has low precision. It will not hit the exact target. It will reach approximate areas because it has a very long range and it is not guided. It is unguided for most of its path, and its trajectory depends on the gravity, air and Coriolis force. The trajectory depends on gravity, air and Coriolis force. So it is based on geographical physical factor. That's why it will not hit the exact target as it is unguided for most of its path. Range around is 300 km to 12,000 km, and there is no fuel requirement after the initial trajectory. So once you thrown it, it will reach the destination. It will create the blast. It has very huge capacity of warheads. Warheads means how many materials, how many blasting materials it has on its head. It will go and blast. It can contain a huge amount of payloads, that is called as payloads. A heavy payload keeping capacity and can carry multiple payloads, right? It can carry multiple payloads. That means it can devastate hugely. The Hamas of Palestine, they also use this ballistic missile. They have the capacity to devastate a particular area, and they are attacking the Israelis. Developed primarily to carry nuclear warheads, right? It is developed primarily to carry nuclear warheads and they have the potential to carry huge devastation in those areas whenever they wanted. For example, Prithvi, Agni and Dhanush, they are ballistic missiles. Prithvi, Agni and Dhanush. Prithvi is surface to surface ballistic missile. Agni is also surface to surface ballistic missile. Dhanush is also a nuclear ballistic missile. Right? So these are all about your ballistic missile. And what is cruise missile? Now we'll choose cruise missile. Cruise missile, it is a self-propelled in the end of flight. Self-propelled in the end of flight. That means it will not cruise missile, that means it will control, the path is guided, the path will be controlled by the controller, right? It is self-propelled. It is not thrown. It's not thrown like a stone. It is self-propelled, that like a drone. Each moment its motion is controlled. That means it will hit the exact target. It has high precision. It is similar to a jet engine that is controlled at each time, and fuel is burned at each position. And right, next, it hits target with high precision and constantly propelled. Constantly propelled means its direct path is controlled and it hit targets with high precision. High precision means the exact target, what is targeted by the person who is imposing it, it will reach the exact target. The range is small, that is below 500 km, as it is constantly propelled, so its range is below 500 km. Payload capacity is usually single payload. Not multiple payloads like the ballistic missile. It has single payload, so the capacity is less, the devastation capacity is less, that is cruise missile. Developed primarily to carry conventional warheads, right? Conventional warheads, in case of conventional war, example BrahMos, it will carry the conventional warheads, that is single payload. right? That is the cruise missile, unlike the ballistic missile, which is highly powerful, which has a long range, which can carry multiple payloads, right, and having low accuracy. But cruise missile, it has higher accuracy like a jet engine. Example is BrahMos supersonic cruise missile. Sorry, no. Sorry. सीटी नेक्स्ट पीपीटी टा ऑन करिया आउट पीपीटी अच्छी